On October 7, a satellite was launched by a Rocket Lab Electron rocket with a payload for French and American government organizations that will follow wildlife and gather other sensor data. At 1:09 p.m. Eastern, the Electron launched from Pad B at Launch Complex 1 in New Zealand. 9 minutes later, the two-stage rocket released a kick stage into orbit. About 55 minutes after liftoff, the kick stage fired its Curie engine and delivered the Gazelle satellite, its cargo, into a 750-kilometer sun-synchronous orbit. Gazelle was developed by General Atomics as a part of a complicated web of connections between several government organizations. General Atomics was chosen by the Space Systems Command of the United States Space Force to host the Argos Advanced Data Collection System payload for the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration at a cost of $64 million through its Hosted Payload Services contract vehicle. As part of the Argos program, which also involves NOAA, NASA, and other national space agencies, the French space agency CNES contributed the Argos 4 sensor for the Gazelle spacecraft, which weighs roughly 110 kilograms. Argos satellite payloads gather and transmit data from sensors all around the world, mainly those that monitor animals. The Argos program began in the 1970s, and Argos 4 was the most technologically sophisticated receiver ever flown. At a press conference on September 27, Sophie Cowton-Fay, chief of the Argos program office at CNES, stated that Argos 4 covers a wider frequency spectrum and has a higher data transmission capacity. The launch marked Rocket Lab's 8th of the year and the 31st launch of the Electron rocket overall. The corporation withheld the precise date of its upcoming debut at this time. Rocket Lab said that it was moving on with plans for its maiden Electron launch from Launch Complex 2 at Wallops Island, Virginia, in December at an Investor Day event on September 21. Hawkeye 360, which manages a constellation of satellites to carry out radio frequency tracking, will use that launch to send satellites into orbit. Despite being advertised as a vehicle with a capacity to send 8 tons into orbit, Beck said that this is for the version that lands back at the launch site. If the vehicle is expended, the performance rises to 15 tons and 13 tons respectively for missions that land farther away from the launch location. The initial stage of the vehicle now includes 9 Archimedes engines instead of the original 7. These engines will be tested at a facility Rocket Lab is renting at NASA's Stennis Space Center in Mississippi, according to the company. Rocket Lab is building a factory next to the Wallops Flight Facility, where it will produce Neutron rockets that will be launched from a brand new launch pad at Wallops called Launch Complex 3. Beck also teased a potential human spaceflight project during the presentation by displaying illustrations of a capsule atop a Neutron rocket and docking with the International Space Station. He claimed that although the firm had not yet announced any plans to create such a capsule, it hadn't ruled it out in the future. The car is made to be rated by humans. Without that kind of thinking, you can't construct a car like this, Beck stated of Neutron. We don't currently have any programs that specifically focus on capsules, but we are looking into it.